Hello and welcome back to Charging Status, the EV Focus podcast brought to you from The Interface. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Jim Starling. How are we doing, Jim?
Good, Alex. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. We've had we haven't seen each other for a little. Well, we were supposed to see each other on a BYD day the other day, but things didn't work out as it quite should have. But we've had a busy few weeks, I think. So it's been all go.
We have. Very much so.
Yeah. So the first thing, it was on Monday last week. We both got invited down to somewhere near Reading. I can't remember where it was. It's for a BYD Media Day. They called it an Influencer Day. I saw on one of the cards, which was interesting. So
yeah, I was upset by that. I actually had a chat with them about that because I don't like being referred to as an influencer. So they did apologise, but I did ask for it to be backed up in writing as well.
Fair enough. So BYD have got 3 cars on sale in the UK. They got the Atto 3, the Dolphin, and then the Seal. So they had all 3 of those models there to drive. We had it was about an hour, I think, with each car. I think the morning session you were on was a little bit busier, so they split it into 2 sections.
Yeah, we were on like
session.
40 minutes. Yeah, we were on 40 minutes in the morning, which was made it a bit tough to sort of video anything. But obviously, I'd already reviewed the Dolphin over on Men and Motors. So for me, it was about the Seal and the Atto, really.
What did you think about the cars? They were good, weren't they?
Yeah, really good. The Atto was better than I sort of remembered it. Because obviously we took one out of the SMMT day last year, didn't we?
Yeah, and it felt a bit bland, didn't it?
Yeah, and I still feel like that's a car that would be great at the right price. But I did quite enjoy it, actually. The Seal I thought was brilliant, but it is a very hard ride.
All right, okay. So I took the rear-wheel drive one out. I don't know which one you took out.
Yeah, I had the all-wheel drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I did find the ride very hard.
All right, okay. So I didn't take the Atto out. I took the Dolphin out for a full, a little first look review. So there's a video on the Interface Cars channel for that. And then the Seal I took out for maybe 30 minutes. Didn't film anything with that. I was more interested to see what it drove like. But I thought they were a lot better than I expected them to be in terms of quality, and the infotainment was really good. So I think they're onto a winner. Yeah,
yeah. I think the Seal looks amazing as well. It's such a good looking car, and the aside from the quality of it, the actual design of the interior was really cool. Like very interesting. Not just a Wish.com Tesla interior, for example. They actually put a lot of time and effort into it, and I thought the Seal was really, really nice. The only thing was that harsh ride, but I guess it probably not quite so bad in the rear wheel because the rear wheel drive obviously having one less sort of set of electric motors and possibly a little less weight as a result.
Yeah, I thought it was really good though. Definitely, I think maybe give it a few years, you'll start to see a lot more of them on the road. But in the Seal, I noticed there was so much legroom in the back. It was like a limo.
Yeah,
very good.
Everyone sort of always compares it to the Model 3, which is a bit like trying to compare apples and oranges, because they are quite different beasts. But that would certainly be a decision for people to make, I think, if they're in the market for that kind of car, is you'd almost be a bit remiss not to check out the other one.
Yeah. So you drove the Seal and the Atto. There's videos live on your channel now for that. I just drove the Dolphin, which was really nice, so I really enjoyed that one. There's a video live on my channel for that, so there's some links in the description as well. So
yeah, the Dolphin's brilliant. It was a while ago that I drove it now, but I spent a more or less a full day with that car, and I was really impressed by the Dolphin.
Yeah, it was very good. I thought the speaker system was quite good on that. The infotainment, the rotating screen, obviously all models have that. It's really, really cool. I looked at the efficiency. I put it in. I didn't really register it at the time because it was like a weird format. It was like, was it like watt hours per mile or something weird like that?
Which is how it is in the Tesla, and it's quite annoying.
Yeah, but it turned out to be like 4 miles per kilowatt hour, that's very good considering.
Very good.
Like there's been a load of people driving it in the morning, a load of people driving it maybe to and from the event. It seemed very efficient, so very good with that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Awesome. There's also, you're not attending, but there's Fully Charged, well, they call it the Everything Electric show now, on Thursday this week. Well, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. There's like a media day on the Thursday. It's down in London at the Excel Centre near Docklands, I think it is. So basically, big EV show. I'll be attending that along with some of the people I've seen on Twitter as well. So it should be a good day. Quite an early start for me, but looking forward to that. There's the Armada. Is it the Armada E5? I think that's being debuted there. And MG have got the Cyberster on show as well. So lots of interesting stuff. And also they're giving away a seal. They're giving away a BYD seal I saw as well.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, so it should be good.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. And then on the Fully Charged topic, I interviewed Imogen Bogle, who's one of the main presenters of Fully Charged. I think I interviewed her maybe about 2 weeks ago now. I published that episode last night on the same channel you're watching this on, if you're watching this on YouTube, so the Interface Podcasts. We had a brief half an hour just talking about her background in automotive engineering, because she's done a lot of interesting stuff, to be honest. Also, sort of what it's like working at Fully Charged, and also I dived into a topic about, like, because there's so much negativity about EVs, we sort of talked about, does it sort of drain your optimism, just seeing that all the time? And it was quite an interesting topic. So if you want to check that out, there's a link somewhere on the video or in the description.
And I can vouch for that. I watched that last night, actually, in bed, which delighted my wife. But yeah, I thought it was really good. It's probably the best one of those you've ever done, I think. Obviously, apart from the one I was in, but you know,
that was good for a few other reasons. But yeah,
no, I thought it was really, really good.
Oh, thanks, mate. Thank you. Yeah, I don't do too many of them, but whenever I do, I try and get some interesting people on. It's not there's no set schedule for it like there is for this one, so yeah. And then not related to EVs, but related to just the car industry as a whole. I can't remember when it was. I think it was early March or late February, since we recorded, basically. There was an MG Rover event at the Gaydon Motor Museum, British Motor Museum. So I had the last guest on before Imogen was a guy called Tom Cowling, and he was quite instrumental in rescuing some old prototypes from Longbridge. So the British Motor Museum rescued them, and then they had them on the show for an evening, like a late evening. So there's the RDX 60, which was basically the car that BMW turned into the 1 Series. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they sort of stole it and turned it into the 1 Series, which is quite a weird story. So there's a interview with Tom Cowling on the channel. So, but that was a good evening. So it was a good. It was good to see the cars up close that were just the cars that were never supposed to be. So
yeah. And aside from that, what have you been driving, Alex?
I've got a Nissan Townstar arriving today, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, a van. I would be a van man.
which is the Mercedes e-Vito with a different badge, is it?
And the Renault Kangoo, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be good. So I'm driving that down to London. So I'll be stopping off at trying to find some Tesla chargers to stop at because they're the cheapest. So.
Is it that's the full size panel van, isn't it?
It's a little baby van.
Oh, well, yeah. It's the Citan, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
so I got that arriving today.
Kangoo, of course.
Yeah, I haven't been very loyal to EVs recently. I've had a big diesel Amarok, which was awful on fuel, and then I had just gone back yesterday. Broke my heart to see it go, but it was the Genesis G70. That was awful on fuel as well.
It's always a bad day when a Genesis goes away, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Was it the 2.5 you had?
It was the 2-litre turbo petrol.
Oh, yeah.
But I think 28 mpg. So.
Yeah, but it's not made for that, is it? You know, It's not a. I've got a Toyota CHR on the drive at the moment, and that's like 54 mpg in the real world, which is pretty good. But it's made for that, isn't it?
Yeah. So I drove that a lot. Drove it down to Reading for the BYD day. Drove it to Milton Keynes for the VW stuff I'll go mention in a minute. So I did a lot of miles in it. I didn't remember how many miles I did, but it must be about 400 or 500 miles.
By the way,
Lovely
when
thing.
you're driving to London, don't forget the commercial vehicle speed limit.
What is the commercial vehicle speed limit?
I think if it's got a payload of over a ton, which it might have.
I'll have to do some research.
It's 60.
60. Okay, I might have to do some research on that. So,
and
good tip.
What I found when I had the side hand was it was way more efficient at 60 than it was at 70. Like way more efficient. Probably 20% more efficient.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, it should have a good range on paper. It's got like 45 kilowatt hour battery, 190 miles of range, I think. So,
yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of other stuff I've been driving, I went to Milton Keynes on Friday, so it's Tuesday today, Friday last week, and drove some VWs. There wasn't many people turned up for that. There was some lads from EV Powered. I've not heard of that publication before. They seem quite nice, and some other people. But drove the ID3, the ID7, and the ID5. I filmed a video with the ID7, sort of a first impression sort of thing. That video will be out at some point in the future. But my main takeaway from the electric VWs was that they are substantially better than I thought they would be. Because it's my first time driving the VW ID stuff, yeah.
So the ID3 is obviously the facelift version, which is a lot better than the original version.
Okay.
In my personal opinion. Not the looks of it, I mean, it looks hardly any different, but I mean, in terms of the everything else, it feels like the first version was almost like a beta version, and they had to get a car out quick.
Makes sense.
And yeah, the current ID3 is a lot better, I think, than the original. ID7 I haven't driven. ID5 I think is a perfectly good car, but I don't think the interior build quality is good enough.
Okay. Yeah, the ID3, it's an interesting one because there's another facelift due soon with the big screen. It's sort of in the middle at the moment. So the big screen from the ID7, and also actually the new Crafter, a new van is supposed to have that massive screen. So yeah, the ID3 is due to have that soon. But no, I thought that just based on what I've read and watched, that like you said, that the ID3 was sort of a beta car. Or beta, sorry. But no, I thought it felt a lot better quality than I was expecting it to be. I noticed the steering wheel was really nice. Like I don't know how to describe it. That the rim of the steering wheel was sort of like set forward away from the center of the steering wheel, so it felt really, really nice. I don't know how to. I don't know how. I think that's the best way of describing it. But no, really good. Just its only downside was the lack of buttons. But
the haptics. Oh, don't get me started. Like everybody in every video says, just give us like a button or a knob or a dial.
Yep.
And
yeah,
I'm not going there.
No. ID7, that felt like proper premium experience. Very quiet, very soft. Like I drove it must have been the rear wheel drive one, so not the full fat one, but it felt really quick. The heads up display, it's like a weird sort of thin rectangle, but it shows you all the information you need, like the speed. If you got directions with CarPlay, it will show you that on the heads up display as well. The little thin display in front of the steering wheel, again, like super crisp, looks like OLED. Everything about that, apart from the lack of buttons, it was just exquisite. So, and it's also got that what do you call it, like the opaque sunroof from the ID Buzz long wheelbase, so you sort of swipe a button and it goes like sort of a milk colour and sort of blocks out all the light. But yeah, they've done a good job with that. It's fab.
Yeah, but it looks really cool as well. I really like the design of that car. Hopefully, I know I did a VW day a while ago and they were talking about the new CEO and how he's going to get back to making VW special and interior quality coming up. But I guess we're still seeing stuff at the moment where it was already in production, in development. So I think we'll see the best from VW in terms of EVs in probably 18 months' time or something. Yeah,
the one I'm really looking forward to. I spoke to one of the guys there about it, the ID2. And he said he saw it in person. It blew him away how good it was. So That's the next video I'm really looking forward to. Don't know when that's supposed to be coming out, but a few years time now. So
yeah, that could be very special, couldn't it?
yeah, I love the look of that. So enough what I've been driving. What have you been driving? I think you've been quite busy recently. So
yeah, so I had the eVito van, but I had the 9-seat sort of minibus version,
okay.
the eVito Tourer. But randomly, I got sent the old version. So I think the new one is either out or it's about to be out.
Yeah.
So I was expecting like pre-production, possibly, or just a brand new one.
Mm-hmm.
So I got it was like the 2001 model or 2002 or something. So I didn't make a video with it because I just couldn't really see the angle for a video. Here's the new Mercedes eVito, which is now old. So I've written a review of it on my blog on notaguru.co.uk. Generally, very good. But obviously some of it feels a bit old hat, and the spec levels were a bit minimalist, shall we say. I mean, a van of that size not having a rear view camera, especially in a 9-seat when you've got all those headrests in your rear view mirror, seems daft. And it was just a little bit kind of barren considering it was 70 grand. So yeah, it was a tough one, to be fair, but I think the new one, funnily enough, addresses loads of those issues. So I would definitely like the new one when it comes, and I'd like to make a video with that one because it would make sense. But yeah, so a bit odd. The Mercedes E-Citan I had the week before that, which obviously the Nissan Townstar is very, very similar to, and that was generally great. I really enjoyed that, and it drives like a car. It's weird to be in a little van and to not get out of it with quite a lot of fatigue, you know, from the rattly old diesel, and just the fact that your arms have been shaking a bit, and also noise coming from the back. And it was really a nice thing to drive. I genuinely enjoyed driving it. It's got the slightly newer Mercedes infotainment system in, like you get in A-Class, B-Class, that kind of stuff.
Oh, really? That's
and
good.
It's fine, like CarPlay works with it. So, yeah, no issues with that. And, yeah, it's just generally very good. And then I also went on a launch with BMW for the iX2, and I also drove the Mini Countryman that day. Videos for both of those up on my YouTube channel, definitely not a guru. The iX2 was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. But don't get one if you need to put two probably large teenagers or adults in the back of it, because the back seat area and that rear cabin in general is really quite compromised. Right. But otherwise it was great, and it really drove like a BMW. And like the cabin's brilliant. I think BMW do the best kind of front interiors at the moment, or certainly one of the best. And yeah, just really, really enjoyed that car. Gave you sort of everything you could want from it, really. Quite expensive though.
Yeah, definitely. So
yeah,
sounds fun.
And I drove the new Mini Countryman that day as well, but it had an engine in it, so probably not for this channel. But again, very, very good.
Yeah, the electric one's due soon, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. I did get a head injury, by the way, in the iX2. When I got into the back of the car to like video me sitting in there and smacking my knees against the seat in front and doing this kind of stuff, as I do in those review videos, literally got in the back and just whacked the side of my head.
I've done that before.
And I was talking to someone else. Yeah, I was talking to someone else, and they'd done exactly the same thing. So mind your head if you're test driving one of those. That's my advice to you. And then I did a little video about the Dacia Spring, which I think was a little bit controversial, but my video is basically what's the point and who's going to buy one. And I'm guessing your views on this might be different to mine. You're probably more excited about it than I am. I feel like it's a cheap car. It's 15 grand, but to use my milk analogy that I used in the video, I could go and buy a pint of milk, and it's cheaper than buying 4 pints of milk, but I've got a lot less milk. There you go.
Yeah.
Genius.
I think
I'm sure there'll be a black and white image of me one day with that quote on the front, and it'll be used in motivational speech sessions and all that kind of stuff. But maybe not. I could be wrong.
It'll just be a tatty poster in a high school somewhere. I think the problem with it is it's like a really cheap Android smartphone. It's using specs from ages ago, if that makes sense. Like those sort of specs we'd expect back in 2012. For admittedly, so the one car I think of is the Mitsubishi i-MiEV. It had like 100 miles of range or less than that, but it was the equivalent of like £35,000. So what we've achieved as what they've achieved as an industry in the 10, 12 years since is insane. Like we've got equivalent sort of vehicle for less than half the price. But I saw someone on Twitter say like some people are going to see that and think that's what all EVs are. I think that was your angle. I can't.
Yeah, my angle really is I could buy one of those for 15 grand, or I could probably get a pre-registered Corsa for say 18 or something.
Yeah.
Or 19.
Yep.
And if you look at it as a value for money proposition, it starts to look absolutely rubbish when you compare it to something like that, because it's a car with loads of compromises, and you put that up against something with no compromise really, and it starts to look a bit sad. I think probably if it had come out 3 years ago, I think 3 years ago it might have been really exciting as a lot of people seem to think it is. But right now, when you can get yourself almost any, you name it, you could get yourself a used Fiat 500. And when I say used, I'm talking a year old. A used Fiat 500, a Vauxhall Corsa. You could get 2-3 year old ID3 for that kind of money that will absolutely beat the Dacia Spring in every possible metric you can look at. And I'd sort of wonder who on earth buys one of those new when the other things are available.
Do you not think though that the at the moment we're seeing the cheap EVs on the used market, is that temporary? Because it's a weird sort of like sort of enclosed space at the moment.
I think the only time that's likely to change is if the tax benefits for companies change, because the price is only low because there's more supply than there is demand.
Yeah.
And the supply chain could be stopped by the government saying, right, company car drivers, you now need to pay $5,000 a year to drive that EV, and that will do it. But of course they don't want to do that because they want to encourage as many people to change over to EV as possible. So I don't really see a solution from that. I guess the other thing that could happen is if manufacturers start to drop the prices of their new EVs generally. And obviously we know that battery packs, the cost of producing a battery's reduced dramatically in the last year, and there aren't too many companies really passing that on at the moment. And obviously loads of them are going to be so upside down still on their R&D costs and retooling factories and everything that I guess they can't afford to pass that saving on. But I don't see it as a massively temporary thing. I think it's like probably a medium term thing.
Yeah, so with the Spring, I don't think people are actually going to buy them for the price they are. We might see that, I think I mentioned before, we might see that there are some insane lease deals on them, or they might turn out to be I think they're that case in France, like rental things. Like rental cars that are left on the street, you can go and use your phone to log into
Boris
them.
bike.
Yeah, that might work. And then the money saved on not having the fast charging systems, the temperature management for the battery, all that stuff. I think that's the reason it doesn't charge very quickly, is because it doesn't have the temperature management system, which adds a lot of cost, and it sort of brings the price down. So it might be more of a rental thing, very cheap leasing, second car sort of idea if you live in the city and things. But I do agree with what you've said. I don't disagree. So it could have been exciting, but it's a little bit. Yeah, as I said, it's like an old phone that's been resold. With some.
Yeah, I felt like it sort of turned up late to the party and it bought a 4-pack of Skull with it, and if it'd been a bit earlier at the party, or perhaps arrived with a better choice of beer, then it would have been more popular. But yeah, as one of those Boris bike kind of cars, yeah, it'd be fantastic. And it might be the car that you can get for £100 a month on a lease. And at that point, a lot of people will think, oh yeah, I'll have one as a second car or something.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because even if you live well where you live or where I live, 100 miles is actually quite far. And just using it to toot around the local areas, you're not sort of, because obviously petrol cars aren't designed to be used for very short journeys. You can just use that to pop around. So might be quite good. But it is still, but
otherwise,
but otherwise, it is still quite impressive that we've achieved that price point. But there's still a way to go.
Massively impressive that they've got the price down that much in that short period of time.
Yeah.
But also after a year, you'll be able to get one for 50% of the new price. I would say.
Yeah, probably. We've just got a quick reminder for people to review the show. So if you can, please give us a review on the podcast platform of your choice. It really does help the podcast out as we're trying to grow this show. We've had a fab review from Mick Timoney on Apple Podcasts, who said, "The best podcast for EV car news with a particular focus on what cars are like to drive and the realities of charging networks and getting around the country. Jim and Alex are car lovers first rather than EV evangelists, so you get a good, nice balance on the electric petrol debate." So thanks, Mick Timoney, for the review. And if you'd like to review this show, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or leave a comment on the YouTube video, that will really help us out.
And McTimoney, I'm going to give you a review of your review. That's a fantastic review, and thank you. I'm giving you 5 stars, McTimoney. In fact, I'm going to invite you to come to my YouTube channel and to go to all of Alex's different channels and leave reviews there as well. Thank you.
Cool. Got some EV news. So the first one is Fisker. I've never driven a Fisker Ocean. I don't think you have either. But
no.
Basically, the company's in financial trouble. This story's been sort of expanding over the last few weeks. They were talking to Nissan about a rescue deal of, I think, £316 million. That has since fallen through. So Nissan would have put cash into the company to have access to its platform to build certain things, but it isn't happening. And I think as of yesterday, I saw that the stock price has paused. I'm not sure what that means, but basically the stock price has stopped being reporting. So not great. I don't think some of the reviews of the cars they've had recently. So I don't think some of the reviews they've had recently have helped things. I think there's a few reviews from different places that were blasting the car for how rubbish it was. But yeah, I don't know what you think about
that. Yeah, I've heard sort of some inside news from quite a reliable source that they're banging trouble and people have been sent home and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise.
No.
Obviously, Fisker went belly up once before. And it's just so difficult for a company to come in and launch something from the ground up and compete in what is a highly competitive market. And I think they probably end up at the point where whatever price they sell the car for, realistically, they probably can't make any money because they've got so much debt and everything else. So it's not a massive surprise, but I think it's a great shame because I haven't driven the cars. I haven't even seen any reviews yet, but I have heard that they're not good. But from a design point of view, they look fantastic. I can't remember the name of the next one that's supposed to be coming, but I mean, it looks incredible. Such a good looking
Alaska
thing.
pickup truck, yeah.
And there's a smaller
Oh yeah,
SUV.
yeah. I can't remember
But
the name
it's
of it
really
actually. Yeah.
cool.
Mm.
Yeah. I think it's a great shame, and Henrik Fisker's quite good value if you see him interviewed on anything. So yeah, sad times, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
I want all these brands to survive, but it's just so tough. I know Rivian have had tough times as well, haven't they?
They have, yeah. They seem to pulled it back a little bit because I've had some cars announced recently. So, the stock price at the moment of Fisker is 0.09 USD, and
yeah, that's not amazing, is it?
no, it was $6 a share in October. So,
and it's now 9 cents.
Is that 9 cents? Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame because the cars look really good in terms of its design piece. They've got that California mode, which you can California Drive mode. I think it basically lowers all the windows, opens the sunroof, you can have all the air come through the car. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame. So, well, we talked about the ID3 earlier in the show. It was a few weeks ago now that Volkswagen have announced two new, basically GTI versions of the ID3 and the ID7. Got the GTX models. So there's an ID7 GTX Tourer. There's also the ID3 GTX as well. And these are essentially sports GTI models or versions of those vehicles. So yeah, they look really good.
Yeah, I've driven the ID5 GTX, and performance-wise, that was fantastic. That was quite a while ago now, but yeah, that was really good. And you'd have to think if anyone can do a sports version of a standard car, then VW should be able to do it reasonably well.
Oh yeah,
there's some pedigree there.
Yeah. So the ID3 GTX is actually not four-wheel drive. Sorry, it was supposed to be four-wheel drive based on the original concept of the ID GTX. That was Ralph Brandstratter that shared. He was the CEO of the company at the time, but he shared like a preview a few years ago, like a black and green concept. But no, this is going to be rear-wheel drive still. 321 brake horsepower. It is basically inspired by Golf GTI, and there's a lot of sort of GTI DNA that's going into it. You've got the new big touchscreen. You've got sports steering wheel, sports seats, so it looks fantastic. It should go on sale this year for about about £50,000, I reckon. The ID3 top spec is about 40, so I reckon they'll probably knock another 10 on that, possibly, or maybe 8. So looks good though, so really good. And then the ID7 Tourer GTX. I'm not sure if they're going to be a saloon version, but we've got this one. This is 335 brake horsepower. Same sort of thing, basically, just a big performance estate car. So it looks fantastic, and it's good that they're sort of doing more performance models. So
yeah, the Tourer looks really cool. Sorry, I've just been joined by the dog here, so if you hear any strange groaning noises, it's Topsy. Say hello. There you go. The Tourer looks really cool, and it sort of plays to that RS6 kind of vibe, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
The big. They've made that for Germany, really. That's an autobahn car if ever I've seen one.
Yeah, so that one's got that one is four-wheel drive, which is really good. And there's I had some interesting comments because I made 2 videos at the time. So I published 2 videos at the same time, sort of announcing those cars, and there were some interesting comments. People just saying, "Oh, these are too expensive," or "These are good for fleet sales." But it's good that they're doing more performance models of those cars. So yeah, there's always cynicals of things. So
yeah, absolutely.
The next one is the Isuzu D-Max. It's going to be an electric pickup truck. At the moment, in 2024, we've only got the one EV pickup truck on sale. It's the Maxus T90. Still, after I think it was announced 2 years ago, 2 years ago now. Still, there's nothing else out there. So this is a concept car of what could come. So it's good that the market's transitioning that way. Even Ford hasn't done electric Ranger yet. They've only got a plug-in hybrid model, even though they are doing electric vans now. So it's good that they're doing electric pickup trucks, really, because we do need it.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe nobody else has done it because, pickups are massively popular, and Ford in the US have got 3, I think, electric pickups. They've got the Maverick. They've got the F-150.
The Maverick is a hybrid. They've got the F-150 Lightning, the Cybertruck, the Silverado, and then the Rivian. There's 4.
Is there not a fully electric Maverick?
I don't think so. Not yet. No.
Okay.
It's just a little hybrid one.
Yeah, I really like that Maverick. Actually, I think that's cool.
It does look good.
But yeah, it seems bananas that nobody else has stepped up to the plate because, that Maxus is not without its limitations, is it?
No, it's from what I've heard, it's not very good.
Yeah. But yeah, it just seems so bananas when so many people take a pickup truck because it is that thing where you can do your day-to-day business in it as a tradesman or something, but you can also take it to Tesco's at the weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
And which is why they're so popular for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah. There was also supposed to be a KGM 0100, so based on the new Taurus, I think it is.
Yeah,
they're going to basically do a pickup truck version of that, which would be quite good. It should replace the Musso, I think. I'm not sure what they've got planned with that. But yeah, it's an interesting market, and obviously, as you've recently reported, the tax situation has changed again. It's gone back to what it used to be. So they are still a viable option for company car drivers, which is good. So
yeah.
So the next thing we got is the Cupra Formentor. So this is supposed to go EV only. In a few years' time, it'll get replaced basically. Have you driven one of these before? I think you have, haven't you?
Yeah, I had one on review. I had the spicy one on review, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, because Cupra are that sporty arm of Seat. And Cupra are actually doing quite well. I remember reading a story from Autocar when the whole brand was new, thinking how interesting it was at the time. But basically, at the end of the decade, that's supposed to go EV only. Obviously, little ways away now, but quite interesting. So I'd imagine it'll be based on the same platform as the other electric vehicles, just to keep costs down. But yeah, it's an interesting. I've seen quite a few of them on the road actually. I think they are quite well priced in terms of their leasing, potentially. So they'll be quite interesting. So
yeah, they're really well priced on leasing. Cupras generally. One of my friends has got the Leon. I did a review of that on my channel as well.
That,
yeah, that's a great thing as well. I think Seat have always been a little bit of an unsung hero within the VW group.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they produce some really good cars.
Yep.
And yes, it's on that common platform, but sometimes it's sort of the finishing touches.
Yep.
And there's been a lot of talk about would Seat continue as a brand, but I've seen some news that they're releasing a new Ibiza and
I saw that as
something else. So so it's looking good for them.
I nearly bought an Ibiza actually. So before I bought my Up GTI, I test drove an Ibiza, and it was a little bit out of my reach in terms of the price. But it was great. I really enjoyed that, and the sort of sales experience with the dealership was really nice. It was very VW sort of feel, so it was good.
How's the value going on your Up GTI, by the way? I'd imagine they've retained their value quite well, haven't they?
Yeah, so interestingly, I actually looked at this the other day because just out of interest. So I paid 13 for mine, and it's worth just under that with Carwell, like maybe 300 quid under that.
That's amazing, isn't it?
And I bought that.
That's so good.
I bought it when it was 6 months old in August 2019. So it's, how old is that now? 5 years old or something. So, yeah, it's retained its value again. Well. So,
nice.
Yeah, good little car. I'll let you run with this one because I unfortunately haven't prepared much information about this, but you made a video on this the other day. So this is about the Honda-Nissan partnership.
Yeah. So if anyone's missed it, Honda and Nissan have basically shaken hands on a joint venture to develop EVs together. Obviously, Nissan were one of the original gangsters with the Leaf, which is a legendary EV, really. Although they're not going to be making it anymore, and Honda have had a little bit of a torrid time with their EVs. Obviously, the Honda E was a brilliant thing, but just didn't work. I think the price was just a bit out of reach for what was on offer. The ENY1 has not had very good reviews, and I haven't seen too many of those out in the wild. So Johnny Smith obviously has absolutely destroyed that car. And they've kind of shaken hands and said, all right, let's work on this together. I think they've come out with some quite punchy words as well. I know the president of Honda said there's a real threat coming from China, from all these brands, and we need to join up together to sort of combat it, basically.
Yep.
Which is really quite punchy for a company like Honda to come out and say words so strong.
Yeah.
Was a little bit surprising, to be fair. But I think the Japanese companies generally have seen EV as a little fad that was going to go away, and put obviously all their money into hybrid technology. And they are now thinking, oh my lord, we could be out of business in 8 years, 10 years, whatever it may be. Nissan, obviously, you could sort of argue, haven't had the best of times in recent years. The Qashqai's done well. The X-Trail's a good car. But the reliability issues have been there for all to see. Obviously, Nissan's owned 42%, I think, by Renault, 44% by Renault. I think Mercedes owns a little touch of it as well.
Yeah,
I think this is all headed to Renault and Honda, to Nissan and Honda merging at some point.
Oh, really?
The Japanese government did suggest they did do that in 2019, I think.
Okay.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
But it feels to me like this might be let's see how this goes, and then maybe they join forces.
We're seeing a lot of that now. So like Ford and VW with their commercial vehicles have long been the outliers in the industry for doing things on their own, and they've now just joined forces on all their commercial stuff. And obviously, even actually with the Explorer, which is just an ID4 underneath. It's interesting. They've a lot of the legacy automakers have just been caught with their trousers down. So they've got to catch up. Otherwise, they'll just risk going bankrupt. So, yeah.
I think as well, what's the point in everyone doing their own R&D and having all that huge cost? Because a big part of whether an EV is successful or not is the price point at the end of the day. And if you've invested hundreds of millions in R&D, and so's that firm over there, well, actually, if you just shared it, you could have half the cost.
Yep.
And tooling at factories and all that kind of stuff. So it does make sense. It's just a case of them parking egos, I think, and trying to come up with something that's best for the shareholders and maybe the consumer, rather than stroking their own egos.
Yeah, and they can make the cars feel different by the interior, the software as well. They can change little bits. They're not going to become like washing machines, or not all become the same vehicle. Basically, they can do a lot of cheap things to make them feel different. Just fit and finish software and different things. So yeah, I think it would be beneficial for them to do that. And yeah, otherwise they'll get overtaken by Tesla and BYD otherwise. So yeah, quite simply. Yeah. Awesome. That's all the sort of the big stories out the way. We've got a few sort of lightning round topics. The first one is Tesco has purchased one all-electric Iveco e-Daily for its delivery fleet in Horwich, and it's basically a pilot program to have 150 vehicles by the end of the year, and then also their entire delivery fleet will be electric by 2030. This is fantastic. It's exactly what is needed, and I think Horwich is up near Manchester, if I'm not too wrong. So it's quite a built-up area. Actually, I'm going to correct that before. my geography of the UK is pretty awful.
Is it Harwich?
Horwich. Oh, Bolton. Okay.
Oh yeah.
It's up north. So I'd imagine it will work quite well for sort of built-up areas and different things. And the Iveco is interesting. It's got a very modular battery option, so you can get one battery. It's 37 kilowatt hours. Two is 74, and you can also get three as well. And it'll basically it seems very modular. I saw one at the CV show last year, and they had the whole chassis exposed. You can see how easily everything fits in there. So I think it's a really good idea. This isn't the first time Tesco has used an electric vehicle for deliveries. They've had an e-Transit at Sheffield for a little while, and also actually when I was writing the story I found out that they've got 3 electric trucks in use in their supply chain from DAF, which are both 37-ton vehicles.
Wow.
So yeah, that's pretty awesome. So
yeah, for local deliveries, it's a bit of a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
I know. Yeah, it'd be perfect. Apparently, Tesco is going to primarily use its AC charger. They've got, I think, the Pod Point charger they've got at their stores. So they've got 619 stores in the UK, and across those stores, they've got 2,700 charging bays. So there's more than enough capacity at their stores to charge their vehicles. And yeah, I think that'd be really good. And from what I've heard, like delivery van drivers who drive them, like we spoke about with the Mercedes, it's a lot more relaxing thing to drive and a lot easier. And I've heard that from the Royal Mail people as well, that the electric vans are just easier, more relaxing. So really good.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Some British car industry stuff now. Sadly, in June, the XE, XF, and the F-Type from Jaguar are all going to be dropped from sale. So Jaguar is only going to sell SUVs from June onwards, which is just the way the industry's going. I remember I think it was like maybe 5 years ago that they were planning to build an electric XJ, but nothing happened with that. But going forward in next year, Jaguar's going to build a 600 brake horsepower EV GT car, and also an electric SUV to rival the Bentayga from Bentley. So at the moment, the F-Pace is being built in Solihull, and once the F-Pace is dropped, the GT EV car will be built in that factory. So yeah,
it's a shame they're taking the saloons away. I know what they are, but
yeah.
The biggest problem with like XE and XF have been the fact that their choice of diesel engines, which most of them have been, are pants, and they, spend more time getting fixed than on the road at times. I certainly know of 2 people personally that have had one go kaput at under 60,000 miles, and it's just incredible. And for years now, JLR have put out stuff that just breaks down way too often. So you think transition to EV could be the thing that takes it from a car that you wouldn't consider because it's so unreliable to actually, because it's brilliant, apart from the fact that it breaks down constantly. The XF's a brilliant looking car. Who wouldn't want one? And it's only that reliability thing. So yes, making that an EV would have been great. I'd love to have seen one, but alas, it's not to be.
Yeah. I added this to the show notes before the Dacia Spring came out, but for a few weeks in time, the Vauxhall Corsa was the cheapest EV in the UK because they launched a new trim level. So this was the Vauxhall Corsa Yes Edition, sort of the marketing that got Yes of Corsa sort of advertising at the moment, which is quite cool. But this was a car that's going to start at 26,895. It isn't on sale yet. It will be from the 17th of April. But it was going to be sold online only. I think there was a trim level of the Citroen C3 was like that as well. It sort of won't be sold via dealerships to sort of cut out all the commission and sort of stuff. But you could order it online and get it delivered to your house. So from what I could work out, there wasn't much that they'd taken off it. It was just a few bits and pieces. It still had a 50.
Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still got the same battery pack. You're like, what? Why would I get anything else?
Yeah, so it's still got a 50 kilowatt battery pack, 221 miles of range, which is the same as the entry level model design trim. There's just bits and pieces they've changed. So like, I think certain options have been taken away, just to bring down the cost. So. And amazingly, what you also get is if you buy that car, you get an entire year free charging at Tesco with their Pod Point chargers. So if you live close to Tesco, just go and charge that up every day.
By the way, their franchise dealers must be going bananas about this.
That must have annoyed them. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see you'd be massively happy about it.
No. But it's something that Tesla pioneered, like direct to consumer.
Yeah.
And why not? Like, if it saves some money and gets more people in EVs. And also, from what I've heard, the dealerships aren't peddling EVs as much as they should be, purely based on they'd miss out on maintenance costs. So this is probably sort of like the Vauxhall probably looked at this and think, oh, they're not selling, like, you know what I mean? They're not selling enough, so why should we sell them via them? So, But obviously, since this story came out, the Dacia Spring is now on sale as the cheapest EV in the UK. Well, EV car, because the Ami's obviously cheaper, but yeah.
Yeah.
Very quickly, the 5th generation Mini Cooper has now started production in Oxford. So I went to this factory a few months ago, actually, when the old one was being produced. This was on the 11th of March that the brand new petrol Mini started production. The reason we're mentioning this on this podcast is the fact that in 2026, the electric model will also be produced in Oxford as well. So, well, actually, instead of the petrol one, actually, I think. And then after 2030, the Mini brand will be EV only. So I'm looking for. I like the look of this new Mini. From what I understand, the petrol one is just a facelift of the old one, very very similar, but the electric one is an all new car that's being built in conjunction with GWM. So, and already I've seen some stuff on Auto Trader. The petrol Mini is 23,000, and apparently there are some EV ones that are already around that price, even though it's supposed to start from 30. There are already some that are about 24, 25. So,
wow.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, it looks really cool. And again, with Mini, it's one of those brands where it's had reliability issues and cost of repairs is pretty huge at times. And you go EV with it, and what's not to like?
Yeah. As I mentioned on the show last month, the month before, I saw one in person at the BMW place, and it looks fantastic. As a design piece, it's just awesome. And as we mentioned, like with an EV, it's just going to be infinitely more reliable, which will be really good for them. So awesome. The very last story is an interesting one. This one got twisted and turned all over the place on Twitter and stuff. It was this headline came out and people said, "Oh, they're going to make a petrol one because they're not selling enough electric ones." Nope. It's simply to do with cybersecurity. So basically, Fiat currently sells 2 versions of the 500. They've got the old one, which is basically the same as it's always been since 2007, the little petrol one, and they got the new electric one, which was launched in 2020. It's to do with cybersecurity requirements in the EU. So all new cars in the EU must have a cybersecurity certificate and be capable of protecting itself from hackers by being fitted with custom electronics, essentially. Each new car that's produced must be able to prove must be able to prove that it can be protected from 70 known vulnerabilities. So I'd imagine what the problem is. The old Fiat 500 is quite long in the tooth now, and it's probably not cost effective to redo all of its ECUs and electronics to make it up to date. So rather than doing that, they'll just do what they did with the Jeep Avenger and plonk an engine in it. So I don't know if they if the 500 was always planned to be an EV only, or it could be both. But this looks like a very temporary sort of solution until Fiat and Abarth go EV only very soon. So
yeah, I mean, it feels like it was meant to be EV only, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know. It's bonkers, but I guess it's a means to an end for them.
Yeah, and it's something they have to do. They've got no choice, because if they don't do it, every new vehicle that doesn't comply has a fine of £25,000. So
wow.
Yeah. So if you top that on top of the EV, like ZEV, that's like over 40k that's you've got to pay out in fines. So
yes, fairly significant.
Yeah. And then in 2023...
They might put a lawnmower engine in it. We never know. You know, they could put like a 300cc in it.
Moped engine.
2-stroke. And
Yeah. In 2023, 173,500 were sold. 108,000 of those were petrol. So there's a big market still for the petrol 500. Mainly, I think, to do with just the cost of it. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's all we've got for this episode. Is there anything quickly that you've been working on that you sort of want to let people know about?
Just go and check out my YouTube channel, really. There's all kinds of wondrous things over there. You might particularly enjoy the lease deals videos. Just done the EV lease deals of the month a few days ago, and it's just astounding how good the deals are compared to even 12 months ago.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, some of the stuff on there is just crazy. You're looking at cars that are 50, 60 grand that you can get for under 400 quid a month. So
crazy,
definitely worth going to have a look.
Yeah, I enjoyed your rant about
potholes. You, Alex?
well.
Did you? Yeah, my angry old man rant. Yeah.
Yeah.
How daft is that, though?
I know.
Come to repair the roads with something that just washes away.
Yeah. I think I mentioned to you before, the road outside my house, in the summer last year, they redid it, and within a few weeks, the tarmac had melted.
Yeah, again, and not an ideal solution.
No. Did you film that with your Pocket 3? Because the colour on it looked fantastic.
Yeah.
It looked really good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all on the Pocket 3.
Yeah, cracking camera.
It's so good, that thing. And if you watch my Geneva Motor Show video, that's 100% Pocket 3, all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing more people use those now.
And just using the little mic as well. I didn't take anything else. I just used that for all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really good camera. Stuff I've been working on. Obviously, car reviews on my channel, The Interface Podcast. There's obviously the podcast as well. So we've got other podcasts on this channel as well. So we've got interviews and other stuff about Wi-Fi's if you're interested in that as well. But there's all sorts of stuff. Very, very busy at the moment. So it's a good time to check out the website. And also, if there is stuff you want to check out the interface.uk. There's all sorts of news and other stuff on there. So awesome.
We need a sponsor, by the way, folks. So sponsor us, please.
Yeah, we do. It'd be quite good. So yeah,
we're very, very greedy as well. So,
if you want Krispy Kreme could sponsor us, or like McDonald's or something, that'd be quite good.
Oh, actually, yeah, I was thinking financially greedy, but yeah, I'd be happy for the food. Tim Hortons, that's our go-to. We need a Tim Hortons sponsor.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening or watching this episode of the Charging Status Podcast. You can find us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. For a full description of this show, visit the episode link in the show notes, and there's also some chapters and all the links as well. Thanks again, Jim, for joining me on the show. Where can people find you online?
Best place is to go to notaguru.co.uk, and you'll find all my links to everything right there.
You can find The Interface at theinterface.uk. Links are in the show notes. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye-bye.